Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Mainly Murder with Meg and Mum. I'm Meg.
I'm Mum.
She puts her hand together. Let us pray. Let us pray for our sins.
I was just thinking we should get Marco to record that because he thinks everything's Meg and Mum.
Did you see the whiteboard in the kitchen?
No.
So go check. He's wiped out like the bottom bit and he wrote Meg and Mum. It's on the whiteboard in the kitchen at work.
Everything with him is Meg and Mum.
Meg
Same
and Mum.
folders as Meg and Mum.
Oh, bless him. Hi, Marco. I don't think he listens. I think
Bloody
it's a bit much for him.
little shit.
But yeah, if my voice sounds crap because I'm on the arse end of a fucking cold that went from me to you to Jay to you to me. Logan thankfully hasn't been very bad.
No, he's a little
just
bit
had
snotty.
kind of boogers. Anyway, so
Anywho.
this is part one of a two-parter because this case was a lot more than it was another one where I thought I knew what happened, but I just knew kind of the very basics of it.
Oh, okay. And there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and then when I started researching, I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, I as I said, like, our usual scripts are probably about 20 to 25 pages. This was 47. It's huge.
So I was pretending I was whistling then. Not much point if it's on a microphone. Nah, still can't get it going.
Okay. Anyway, you work on your whistling with Logan.
I got whistle envy.
I ain't got a whistle in me. So, today we'll be talking about the case of Sheree Beasley. Now, you might know of this one because it was in the 90s in Victoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the main source for this episode was a book called The Murder of Sheree by Wayne Miller. So Wayne Miller was in the Victorian Police for 13 years until 1988. And then in the 90s worked as a detective sergeant for the Australian Federal Police. He then moved into journalism, where in 1995 he won the Walkley Award for his special report on the Sheree Beasley case. After winning the Walkley Award, he decided to write a book on the case.
Really invested in it, isn't he?
Yeah, well, you hear, like, especially on like Gary Jubilan's, they've all got that like one case
yeah.
where Gary Jubilan's was like, he worked on the William Tyrrell case. And the William Tyrrell case is why he left the police. Because it was so fucked up. Like, he got caught on, this guy was like the main suspect. Like, he was the one that they were looking at as the main suspect. And he knew that every time this guy interacted with people, he'd spin the story. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to put my phone recorder on so he can't fuck me on it. And he got done for recording him without his consent and all that.
Okay.
But this guy's house was bugged. It's
Who's
like
the cop's house?
the suspect's house was bugged and he went into his house and recorded him on his phone, but he got in trouble for that. It's like his house was already bugged, so he went through court and he left the police. Like, he got kicked out.
Oh, okay.
And then he went to... A lot of cops go to journalism as well. I guess, like, you write reports and shit. Anyway, in 2002 to 2003, he covered the investigation and the court cases for the Bali bombings for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age.
Oh, wow.
He also worked as a consultant to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, working in Somalia, Kenya, and Seychelles on UNODC's counter-piracy program. He developed a Somalia-wide anti-piracy media campaign, instructed detectives and uniformed police from 6 East African nations, and also the CPP's media advisor. He briefed government ministers and other officials in Norway, Denmark, Britain, Egypt, the Netherlands,
Jesus Christ, you got around.
and the United States on issues relating to Somalia piracy during this time. In 2013, he was field producer in Somalia for the CBS/Electric Pictures documentary, The President versus the Pirates. And now he currently works as the editor of Bunnings Workshop community website in Australia and New Zealand.
Wow, that was a change.
Yeah.
Doing all that, and where are you now? Bunnings.
Well,
Mate,
he probably needed a
screwdrivers
change. No, he does the community website page.
Yes, still.
So this case, we're
You
going to...
know where the screwdrivers are. Mate, everyone knows where the screwdrivers are in Bunnings.
I love the Bunnings app because you can set your store and then you can search for something and it tells you what aisle it's in.
Yeah.
It's fucking
That's
great.
like last night when Andrew's going to get that thing for the battery. It was like aisle 66, boom, 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 in he goes.
Most of them you roughly know. Anyway, it's not a sponsored ad for Bunnings.
Anyway, yeah, thanks,
Bunnings, if you'd like to sponsor us.
Yeah, we love Bunnings. And Officeworks. Favourite 2 stores.
Kmart.
Yeah.
Op shops. Savers, if you'd like to sponsor us. Anyway, so we'll start this story with a lady named Lorraine Sangster. He was brought up as a exclusive brethren, a fundamentalist Christian group. So There's just so many interesting parts that I was like, I'm going to go into a little deep dive of these people. A little, not even quite a deep dive.
All right, you dive. I'll just sit here and hold my stomach.
So the exclusive brethren believe that everything in the Bible is the literal error-free word of God.
Oh.
Jesus is fully God and fully human. His life and teachings are the only path to salvation. Jesus physically rose from the dead and will return to earth in the future, often with a strong belief in an imminent end times or rapture. They interpret scriptures to mean that they must stay moral and spiritually apart from secular society and other Christian groups. Members who leave or break rules can be cut off from their families and the community.
Oh, no.
They can have no TV, radio, books, or general internet use.
Wow. That'd be a riveting life.
No higher education. Schooling often ends at 16. Historically, there was no voting or politics, though this has changed as I'm guessing like mandatory voting. They can only do business with members and often work in family-run or brethren-run businesses.
This isn't Scientology by any chance, is it?
It sounds so much like Mormonism.
Did they rename it?
No. This is like a fucking, like the Mormons interest me so much on their like weird little culty rules. They are a pro-life stance. They're strong against abortion. Traditional marriages, defined as one man and one woman, often opposed to LGBTQ plus rights. The females could rarely wear pants, especially not jeans. No sports matches. They're not allowed to go to the beach. They couldn't go on holiday. And they couldn't eat anything made with unclean hands like takeaway food.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Imagine being brought up in that.
Oh, you'd starve.
I'd die.
You'd die. You can't get through one set of meals without fucking takeaway.
Hey.
What?
Shut up.
Okay.
So this is the life that Lorraine was brought up into.
Oh, okay. Shit.
She was born into this, like her whole family. This is why Mormonism, so we'll get to the Mormons, and there's many true crime cases that are from Mormons. So I think we'd have to do like a...
Not suicides?
No.
Okay.
Possibly, I don't know.
I don't know, you're telling the story.
Kill yourself after having that life. But they're also brought up to be like, there's no TV, there's no radio. They think this is what is right, and everyone else is evil. Yeah,
they wouldn't know any different. They're brought up how they're brought up,
and they're brought up that everyone isn't in your church, and they all live in communities. So it's not like they're going to school and learning that other kids are having normal lives.
Yeah, that's right. And they had fish and chips for tea last night.
Yeah, they grow up thinking this is normal, and they don't really have an interaction where it's like, this is fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we'll do an episode of like explaining what Mormonism is and going through like the history of it. And then
no, it's not a fucking history channel.
It is so interesting.
Well, then do your own little side bit. I'm not sitting here for a fucking lesson on Mormons.
You'll love it.
Oh, fuck off.
So Lorraine, although brought up in this church, started to think this religion and lifestyle was not for her. Her childhood was sheltered and restricted. She had shown promise at hockey, but the church rules forbade playing in competitive games. In accordance to the church's rules, the family didn't have a radio or TV. What the fuck do you do? Well, yeah, that's probably why a lot of them have so many kids. Procreate. Procrastinate. Wow. When Lorraine was 12, their family had gone on a family picnic near King Lake. Lorraine, her 9-year-old...
Oh, forgot this was Victoria.
It's in Victoria,
I'm just thinking, King Lake, it's not that far.
Lorraine... So these people are in Victoria. These fucking brethren...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of fucking weirdos in Victoria. Don't worry about that.
So Lorraine, her 9-year-old sister Margaret, and a school friend had wandered into the bush around 1:30 p.m, and after about half an hour, her mum became worried. Search parties came out, equipped with walkie-talkies and torches, and searched through the night.
After half an hour?
After half an hour, she's like, this is weird, let's go find them. And then they couldn't find them.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you don't normally get that extreme after half an hour.
And then they searched through the night, and the next morning the girls were found. So they were out in fucking King Lake bush for all night.
Oh, bit of a picnic at Hanging Rock, was it?
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, God. Okay.
Anyway.
Sent her on a tangent. Sorry.
This is the moment that Lorraine decided she did not want to be a part of the exclusive Brethren church, but didn't tell anyone. So at 12, she had an epiphany. She's like, I don't want this anymore.
But she couldn't bullshit.
But she couldn't leave. Her whole family was in the church.
Well,
and
that's
at 12,
right. Where was she going? Who was she going to?
At 17, Lorraine took up nursing at the Bethesda Hospital, but then moved into a secretarial job at an insurance company in Collins Street.
Oh, I could have worked with her. Where was it? Oh, I was in Little Collins.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay. Possibly not.
Around this time, the church's rules were getting stricter.
Oh, is that possible?
And
what? You weren't allowed to breathe after 8?
The church's rules were getting stricter, and they decided that their members were no longer allowed to celebrate Christmas and birthdays.
Oh, It's a bit rich.
Why can't you celebrate Christmas? It was Jesus' birthday. Probably not like the Santa Christmas.
God, that's a bit rude. I'm celebrating mine. I'm going to Cairns for mine. Anyway.
Shortly after, Lorraine's parents decided to leave the church. They left, but the kids didn't.
Oh.
Lorraine and her sisters at this time were still in the church and were boarding with a family.
Hang on, Lorraine was wanting to go for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but
Mum and Dad have finally gone,
like,
and now she hasn't gone.
Yeah, but they've all been brought up with, like, if you leave, there's evil out there. Like, they're all
Yeah, but her parents finally
leave.
left, so surely...
Well, they stayed. Around her 21st birthday, she saw her father standing in the city, but due to the church's rules, members were not allowed to acknowledge ex-members, so she walked past him.
That's a bit sad.
Well, could it be? It probably, again, the Mormonism and the Scientology, like, they have their little spies everywhere, and if you do something wrong,
I know,
they're going to come beat the shit out of you. She did see his face when she walked past, and he looked heartbroken. Broken?
He looked heartbroken. Okay, Cher. If I could turn back time.
She quickly walked to work with tears streaming down her face.
Aww.
After this, she didn't see her father for another 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Lorraine had been brought up with the belief that everyone outside of the church was bad, and this is essentially why she was too scared to leave it. Until...
But hang on, she's working... Like, I know it's what she's been brought up and whatever, but she's working in the city. She's working with other people.
But at this time, she's working with other people that are in the church.
Oh, she's not working for like an...
No, like that was one of the rules.
That's
like,
why I'm like, how
work,
is she not meeting other people and going, hang on,
she probably
all these other people in the workplace are quite nice.
You know, walk past them, but most of them went to businesses that were run by...
I get that, but I thought she was working for an external... Just a company in the city. I didn't realise she was still connected to them all.
Until
she
got her next secretarial job with Professor Richard Bennett at St. Vincent's Hospital. And this was the first time she was interacting with people outside the church.
Oh, okay.
And properly spent time with them. And she started to realise that people outside of the church might actually not be that bad.
I'm surprised they let her change jobs.
Oh, well, yeah.
Unless it meant bringing more money back to the fold.
Well, yeah.
But then it also risked her meeting normal people. Normal. That's a bit rude, but you know what I mean.
Non-churchies.
Non-psycho.
Missing her father, she decided to try call him at his work. At the time, he was the chief electrical engineer at the State Electricity Commission office.
Oh, God. Andrew probably knows him. I'll ask Andrew on Monday if he knew anyone that was...
I'll find out his proper name.
Yeah.
She was informed that he was currently...
Proper name? His actual name?
His actual name. She was informed that he was currently overseas.
Oh.
In March 1969, when Lorraine was 28, she had somewhat of an epiphany leaning up against the wall of the MCG.
Oh.
She realised that she could leave...
Did she start singing a Hunters and Collectors song?
At the MCG.
Anyway.
She realised that she could leave the church without leaving God. When she informed her auntie and uncle that she was leaving, they called the church's elders.
Oh, God.
Well, they were pretty much like, look... We don't want to get fucked on by the church. And she's like, completely understand. And they called them as if like, oh my God, she's leaving and she's just told us and we don't want this to happen. But they were like, get the fuck out.
Is that what they said?
Probably.
I can't imagine that being their terminology, but we'll go with it.
God be with you.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
that sounds more like it.
While Lorraine was packing her belongings, about 12 men arrived at the house.
Holy shit.
Dressed in business suits, and in the family's lounge room, they gathered around her like a flock of birds. They were trying to explain to her why she shouldn't leave the church, and they would pray that she would change her mind and that she would be entering the world of the devil. So this is directly from the book, what happened. Lorraine pushed the case shut and looked up. She didn't see the elders now. She thought she might be able to sneak out without them seeing her. But when she emerged from her bedroom, she found them in the hallway, kneeling.
Praying for her.
6 of them faced one wall, 6 faced the other. Lorraine's last obstacle was a 24-legged barrier.
Just fucking walk all over him. Just go bibbidi-bobbidi-boo.
She awkwardly walked over all of the legs. While doing so, they were loudly praying. She's like, excuse me, sorry. Coming through, sorry.
And they're like, ow, ow, God be good there. Oh, yeah.
Fucking bitch. I mean, praise Jesus.
She's heavier than she looks. Ow,
bitch.
It's not funny.
Whacking him with the suitcase.
Yeah, hopefully.
Maybe it was one on wheels. Oh, no.
That's not funny, Megan.
The last thing she heard one say was, "Lord, we commit her to Satan for destruction of the flesh."
Oh, fair enough.
When she walked out of the front door and into
God bless you too.
Peace.
Catch you, guns.
When she walked out the front door and into a waiting taxi, Lorraine cried the whole way there, but she knew she was doing the right thing. One of the church's rules that women weren't allowed to cut their hair. So the next day, Lorraine cut her waist-length hair up to her shoulders.
Oh, that would look nice.
Yeah. Trying to find her new religion, she ended up going to Scott's Church on Collins Street.
Oh, fuck. You kept going on about that the other week when we were in the city. You kept mentioning it.
How fucking weird is that? And this was after. Like, I was like, oh my God, Scott's Church.
You knew exactly where that was, didn't you?
Scott's got no mates, but he's
got
got
no mate except Leslie. Is that her name? Was that her name? Leslie? What's the bird's name?
Lorraine.
Oh, it's close.
Read the room, Leslie.
Don't get started on that.
So she went on her first holiday, and when she returned, she decided she wanted to start a normal life and become a housewife.
Ah.
In 1970, Lorraine went to Scott's Church and prayed to God for a friend for Christmas.
Aww.
As she was leaving, she saw a tall, slim, dark-haired man, and they started chatting. He introduced himself as Robert Lowe.
Oh. Hi, Rob Lowe.
She thought, no, this is not Rob Lowe.
It's not Rob Lowe?
No.
Okay.
She thought he was nice and that his deep, rich voice would have been wonderful on radio. She gave him her number and said they should go out sometime.
Little floozy.
She didn't see him at church again, and it wasn't until March. So this was fucking Christmas. She's like, please, Jeebus, give me a friend. March, he called her. And that Saturday, Lorraine put on her best dress and Robert picked her up and they got some lunch.
Nice. We hope. I feel like it's not going to be nice.
Robert Lowe's family had migrated from England to New Zealand, and then he came over to Australia. He described himself as the black sheep of the family, and he wanted to commit his whole life to Christian work.
Oh, okay.
His godfather, Uncle Ronnie, was Ronald Shelby Wright.
I was waiting for you to say Ronald Biggs. Sorry, go on.
Who's Ronald Biggs?
The train thinger. Google it later.
Okay. No, he was Robert Shelby Wright.
The bank robber.
Robert Shelby Wright.
Right, wrong. So we got low, high, right, wrong. Okay.
Who was the minister of Edinburgh's Presbyterian Church.
I've been there.
And
not the church. Been to Edinburgh.
And who later became chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh.
So that was his godfather.
Okay.
Robert's father had joined the RAF and went to war. Sadly, his father died in 1945 at the age of 33.
Oh, that's young.
After he returned from duty and soon was found dead in his bed. Fuck.
Sorry. That wasn't funny, but it sounded like a Dr. Seuss book. He was dead in his bed with a sore head.
And a dead dad as well.
Oh my God.
There are people with dark humour.
You're fucked.
So he's found dead in his bed from
a sore head.
Well, he did. He had a brain hemorrhage.
Well, stop turning it into a Dr. Seuss book.
He did have a sore head. He had a brain hemorrhage.
All right. Well,
Robert, who was 8, was informed of his father's death by being called into the headmaster's office.
Oh, shit.
The headmaster told him, your father's dead. Now go back to class.
Oh, that was very caring and sharing.
Yeah.
Very emotional moment.
Robert was sensitive, artistic, a sportsman who excelled at high jump and had won several school tennis championships. He was an academic and he tried to join the RAF, but he was rejected.
Why?
I don't know. Rejected.
Well, there must have been a reason. 47 pages and you didn't find out why he was rejected from the RAFF, whatever you said.
After a little while of dating, Lorraine got a handwritten note from Robert in her letterbox saying that he would not be seeing her again.
Ah, who breaks up by post-it note? It's a fucking episode of Sex in the City. How rude. So she did it before.
Yeah.
God, see?
Lorraine went to his house and when he pulled up, she jumped in his car and asked he was like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
I don't think she would have used that terminology.
He essentially told her that he was scared as they were getting serious and they talked and then they were dating again.
Oh, okay.
On one evening in June 1972, Robert asked Lorraine to marry him.
Oh, my God. How do you go from splitting up with someone to talking and then getting back together again? Anyway, whatevs.
A few weeks before their wedding, they bought a house in Albert Street, East Melbourne.
Oh, yeah.
When Lorraine went to help Robert move out of his boarding house, she was shocked at the state of his room.
Porn.
It wasn't just untidy, it was dirty.
Oh.
There was rubbish everywhere, dirty clothes all over the place. She took most of it to her mum's house and they washed it and threw out some of it. On the 10th of October 1972, the couple got married at Camberwell Baptist Church. The couple had their first child in June of 1974, Benjamin Shelby Lowe. Shelby was his mother's maiden name, which Robert really wanted in the name of one kid. In 1976, their second son, Jonathan McKinley Lowe, was born. They tried again to have a third child, but sadly, Lorraine had 4 miscarriages.
Oh, that's horrible.
Robert had a temper.
Uh-oh.
When they were driving to Rosebud for the weekend,
big weekend in Rosebud.
Benji was shrieking and laughing. Robert told the boy to be quiet, but he didn't, and Robert had had enough. So this kid, was in a car seat. Not sure exactly how old, but he pulled the car into the emergency lane, got Benji out from his seat and smacked his bottom. Then
laughing.
He then got back in the car and drove off, watching through the rearview mirror as his young son was running after the car and crying. He eventually stopped the car, put Benji back in his seat.
Prick.
In 1984, Robert and his family went to the Springvale Magistrates Court.
Oh.
Robert had told Lorraine that she needed to come to court, and as he had been wrongly accused of indecent exposure by 2 12-year-old girls.
Oh.
Both of the girls testified against Robert, but they couldn't identify him in court and were not even sure what happened. Sadly, Lorraine's mum died in the late 1970s, and casually at her funeral, Robert mentioned that he had to go to court again.
What for this time?
He said that the whole thing had been a setup by the cops, and he had only been playing with a banana at the beach, and he was being charged with willful and obscene exposure.
Oh, so he was, he was having a wank, or he was playing with the banana pretending to have a wank?
Apparently what had happened,
right,
is that he had been walking around the beach in swimming trunks and had put a banana down the front of them and then approached young girls.
Oh, what a twat. And this is, how old would he be at this point? He's no springy. He's not like
he's probably 30s.
I thought he'd be older than that. Anyway, still fucking creepy.
Someone
should have just kicked him in the bananas.
When the family wasn't spending the weekend down at Rosebud, they did activities like going to football matches at the VFL Park, but Sundays...
At the VFL Park.
At VFL Park.
That sounds better. At the VFL Park.
At the VFL Park.
Yes, no, it's just VFL Park. Used to be out near Onimari.
Sundays were reserved for church.
Of course.
By now, the family was attending the Knox City Presbyterian Church where Lorraine played piano, and Robert had been sworn in as an elder and started teaching the Sunday school.
Oh, God, as if you'd have him with kids.
In the 1980s, Robert obsessively talked about Lindy and Michael Chamberlain. He was outraged that the police had charged the Seventh-day Adventist pastor and his wife over the disappearance of their daughter, Azaria, from Uluru. He started ranting about how the police were harassing Christians. Oh,
for God's sake. Had nothing to do with them being Christian.
Yeah, their daughter, unfortunately. It's nothing to do with their religion.
No.
Robert had befriended Mark Benson, who was the PE teacher at their son's school, and Mark would come over nearly every night and the two would just talk in the lounge room. Lorraine knew that Mark had recently left his position at the school, but was not fully aware that it was because he had been molesting young boys. Lorraine also didn't know the amount of times her husband had been charged with different offences, including indecent behaviour, loitering for homosexual purposes, willful and obscene exposure, and theft.
Wow. He was busy when she wasn't around.
He was very busy.
Mm.
He had also been caught at Waverley Gardens Shopping Centre fondling his erect penis in front of a bunch of young girls.
Oh, you fucking sicko. Someone should have just fucking clocked him.
That's the feel, the vibe for the whole fucking...
Yeah.
The whole case.
If you saw someone like that, blokes these days would go up and fucking knock him out if some dickhead did it now.
Yeah.
Most blokes would just go up and smash them.
Straight on about 5 different phones.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be cameras everywhere.
But he did this so many times and nothing...
came of it.
Yeah. He had also been caught near Batesford Reserve, Chadstone, sitting on the ground outside the public toilets with his pants down and masturbating. He's a great guy.
Yeah, what a catch. She did well.
In late 1984, Robert was a prime suspect for the murder of 6-year-old Kylie Maybury but was ruled out after DNA testing.
Why was he a suspect?
Because he's a creep and he used to work near, like, around the corner from where she was murdered. We'll cover Kylie.
Figured if he sat out in the street and had a pull, he's likely to do more.
After his string of charges, Robert started seeing psychotherapist Margaret Hobbs. So Margaret Hobbs had worked in mental health for many years, especially in Melbourne's Pentridge prison, where she had worked with men such as the Silver Gun rapist, Peter Viatos, Mr. Stinky, Raymond Edmonds, and Mr. Baldy, Brendan Megson.
Mm-hmm.
Really creative names, Mr. Stinky and Mr. Baldy. She had drawn up a loose profile of men such as these ones. They usually didn't get along with women. They usually had fathers who were either physically or emotionally without a father. More than likely had been abused at some sexual level, usually non-assertive but often very aggressive, and many of them come from a very religious background. At his last court appearance, the offensive behaviour charge was withdrawn, and Robert was placed on a 12-month good behaviour bond and had to continue seeing Margaret Hobbs. In December 1984, Robert was standing in Tyler Street, Preston, which was literally around the corner from where Kylie Mayberry's body had been found.
Was that the 6-year-old?
Yeah. 11-year-old Melissa and her blank-year-old sister, she was slightly younger,
okay,
Pauline, were riding their bikes when they spotted Robert. Robert yelled out to the girls to come here, and they slowly rode over, and the following conversation took place.
Oh, my God.
He asked, "What's your name?" The girls gave him a fake name.
Oh, that was smart for how old was she? 11?
Yeah.
That's pretty smart for an 11-year-old.
"Where do you live?" The girls gave a fake address.
Fuck.
Do you go to school? Yes. "What do you do at school?" They said that they do schoolwork and sports, and Melissa played volleyball and basketball. A grin went across Robert's face and he said, "What did you say? You play with boys' balls?"
Oh, you fucking creepy twat.
He had asked them if they had any brothers. Melissa said that they had 2. Then he asked if she had ever seen her brother's penis before. He then asked if they wanted to see one and asked if the girls wanted to go with him.
Oh, my God.
The whole time during this encounter, Robert had his hand in his pants masturbating.
Of course he did.
Thankfully, the girl's uncle noticed the girls and pulled the car up right next to them. Robert ran to his car and the uncle managed to write down his rego.
Oh, good.
The police interviewed him and he denied everything, even though he matched the description that the 2 girls and the uncle had given.
So 3 of them have described him. Uncle's taken the rego because he's standing there with his hand on his dick talking to his nieces.
And his car matched the description the uncle gave.
Yeah.
And he worked in Preston.
Fucking idiot.
Unfortunately, he was known to stonewall during interviews, and it was the word of an upstanding married man against 2 young girls. And the uncle. I don't know why the uncle wasn't
why was the uncle dismissed?
Margaret Hobbs found with most of her patients they would be remorseful towards their family and their victims and would suffer from anxiety or depression, but Robert didn't. She talked with him about how his victims might feel. She even asked how he would feel if someone did these things to his young sons, and Robert just shrugged. Whatever.
I'll do it myself. Don't worry about it.
Margaret found the most dangerous thing about Robert was that most flashers would keep a distance from their victims, but Robert liked to get close to them, try to touch them, or even try to get them in his car.
Ugh.
Between 1985 and 1989, he was questioned over a series of exposures and offensive behaviours, every time never being prosecuted. In 1985, Margaret wrote the following in her case notes about him.
Creepy cockhead.
In my opinion, he's a fucking pedophile. He would use pornographic, invariably stolen. He was a compulsive shoplifter, leaving pornography and retrieving it when picked up by targets. Regressive, immature behaviour and difficulties relating to mature women. The fatal provision of many victims to him serves as permission giving for compulsive offenders and allows them to justify their behaviour in terms of the victim's presence and culpability. The victim of a sexual attack is sheer bad luck. The victim's fate is sealed as soon as they wander into the sight of the hunter. The aspect was ingrained in Mr. Lowe. He rationalised that they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't look if they weren't interested. If they did, that signalled that they were willing participants. So he was just like, yeah, they looked at me. That means they wanted me to go over and show them my dick. Like,
oh, for God's sake.
where there is a cruising for victims and an active manipulation of circumstances and relationships to ensure contact with potential targets. A source of concern for Mr. Lowe was the age of his targets and his close interaction with them. It seemed to convey a sense of daring and bravado, but such as the strength of his drive that he appeared to give insignificant consideration to the outweighing probability of apprehension. His failures to respond to therapy I consider to be due to the features not typically present in exhibitors and which I thought suggested the existence of a sociopathic disorder. An absence of guilt or remorse was consistently present, and he could not be swayed on any grounds to include morality and spirituality.
Well, this is a gaudy person.
Yeah. Well, this is his therapist talking about him.
Oh, but yeah. But I mean, the person himself is meant to believe in God and no harm and all this sort of shit, and he gets his pecker out whenever he can.
There was no sign of anxiety or depression, and indeed he appeared to derive great satisfaction from outwitting the police. He is an inveterate liar, but responded to absolutely specific questions. He believed he could truthfully deny allegations if they deviated slightly from the facts. His lack of responsibility, his refusal to see the wrongness of his behaviour, and his inability to learn from his past experiences were a further indication of more serious pathology. I terminated Mr. Lowe's sessions. So this was in 1985. She wrote this, and she's like, he is a fucking psychopath. He has no remorse. He doesn't give a fuck about the consequences.
He's a pervert. And
yeah, he'll just whip his dick out if someone looks at him.
And she doesn't want to bar it anymore.
Yeah.
Bar it. Get it?
No. Bar?
A bar as in a penis bar? Oh, don't worry about it.
Okay.
God almighty.
But in 1987, he did go back for another session with Margaret.
Oh, did he? She wanted to hear how his old fella was going, did she? They'd have been out visiting the world in the last few years.
Well, she was like, her specialty was like males like him. She had suggested to him that instead of using children as victims for his indecent exposure, he should try it with the sex workers in St Kilda.
I was just going to say, go to a hooker. Well, pay for a root.
Well, he didn't
root.
He was intimidated by the women or anyone of an adult age. That's why he was like, children. He was a pedophile.
Oh, really? Well worked out, Megan. 2 hours in, he's a pedophile.
He didn't want to.
Morning, Mickey.
And he also told Margaret that, quote, lying with a prostitute was against his moral code.
Oh, but getting his dick out for fucking 10-year-old kids was all right.
Yeah, no.
Okay, all right. No worries.
That would be cheating on his wife if he laid with a prostitute. But, yeah.
Showing his dick to people that didn't give a rat's ass about his little pecker.
They didn't even know what the fuck was happening. They were probably like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, exactly.
In April 1990, he went back for another session. During this appointment, Robert complained to her that the police had been to his employer in relation to an attempted child abduction. Of course, he was adamant that he had done nothing. It had nothing to do with him.
And did it?
Probably. But he had just been walking past and happened...
Oh, so he was there.
He happened to speak to the same child in her front yard.
Oh, okay. And then right behind him was another pedo.
He just happened to be in the same area.
Yeah.
What a shit.
Don't they have zones? Don't they have their own, hey, get out
their
of
own turf?
Like a hooker? It's like, hey, this is my corner. Fuck off. I've got my eye on that little 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. That's disgusting.
That is disgusting. At this time in 1990, Robert had been working as a sales rep, so his job was to be out on the road. He managed to always be kind of near schools at lunchtime.
Of course.
And when schools finished. Although Margaret saw the red flags left, right and centre, she didn't report Robert to the police.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Margaret, why not?
Most of her career was spent representing the defendant in court and, of course, the doctor-client confidentiality. I couldn't find anything in, like, the early 90s for the whole medical confidentiality. A lot of changes happened in 1993, which I think unfortunately was after a lot of things happened that probably would have helped.
Okay.
But there was an article from 2023 of the Privacy Act that was so they could pretty much breach patient-doctor confidentiality if a serious indictable offence has been committed and a person knows or believes that it has been committed and a person has information that might assist in the apprehension, prosecution or conviction of an offender, or the person fails without reasonable excuse to bring the information to the attention of the authorities of the police or the appropriate authorities. So I'm not sure what it was like in the late 80s or 90s, but privacy was a top priority. So after the constant visits from the police, all the false accusations.
False, true accusations.
And now a letter from a lawyer addressed to Robert, Lorraine had enough.
Oh, good on you, Lorraine.
The pair of them went to a session together with Margaret, and Lorraine asked Robert, "What's going on, Robert? This disgusting behaviour, why don't you stop it?" Robert tilted his head so that he was looking down his nose at his wife and said, "Because I choose not to." Where's your arm?
It's cold, so
okay.
I put it in my wind cheater.
Lorraine's mouth dropped and the colour drained from her face and she ran out of the session. This was her husband, a church elder, her lover, the father of her children, and he just said that he wasn't going to stop exposing himself to young children.
She should get a pair of scissors and just go, snippety snip.
Later that night, Margaret called the Low House and told Lorraine that after she left, Robert continued with her for the hour. The hour
for
session.
The rest of the session, yep.
Margaret straight up told Lorraine that Robert is not going to change and that she should divorce him.
Good on her.
But due to her religion...
Oh, fuck off.
She didn't feel like she could divorce him.
Yes, you could.
Would you like a blanket or something?
No, I'm fine. I do this at home.
We need visuals. I need to work out visuals.
I get a bit cold at home.
Mum currently has her arms... she's taken her arms out of her sleeves and into her jumper and she's just curled up.
People do that. It's not unusual. It just makes you warmer because you're kind of skin on skin.
You look like just a head. You're just a big floating head. Oh, no.
Shut up and read, bitch.
A few weeks later, Robert called Margaret and asked if she could write him a report for court. She told him that she didn't have one good thing to say about him.
Good on ya.
But he requested the report anyway. She wrote, "I am of the opinion that he truly believes that he is indulging in harmless behaviour. It does not need the intervention of the courts to instill him the it does need the intervention of the courts to instill... You
don't want to start that again because that was a big fuck up.
You're a fuck up.
That was a fuck up.
You're a fuck up.
Shut up,
you
makeup shit.
Chewing gum.
What?
You look like a blob of chewing gum.
Okay, I'm not even going to ask where that came
Idiot.
from.
It does need the intervention of the courts to instill in him the illegality of his actions. The censure of the courts at this time will assist with any ongoing therapy once it has been clearly demonstrated to Mr. Lowe that his behaviour is unacceptable to the community."
Keep your penis in your pants.
That's all you've got to do, Robert.
That's all you got to do, Robert. One job.
Keep
your penis in your pants.
On the 9th of November 1990, Robert's lawyer decided not to enter Margaret's report.
Oh, I wonder why.
And Robert was just fined $750.
Oh, for Christ's sake. The legal system really is fucked sometimes,
isn't
it?
Yeah. So we're going to explore the legal systems of here,
but it's just even
America.
That. You watch those airport ones. Even that, where you get these fucking idiots that make out they can't speak English and they go through the security and they've got nuts and they've got fish and they've got whatever and, oh, no, we didn't declare it. We've ticked the box. Oh, we didn't know we couldn't have it. Like all this illegal shit that's dangerous to our wildlife and all the rest of it. And then you see at the end, oh, they got a $250 fine. Whoop-tee fucking do. That's not going to stop them trying to do it again. Next time they'll get a $250 fine.
Yeah.
Or they'll get it through. Oh, it just shits me. That show shits me watching how lenient they are on some people.
It's like this. Like all he was getting was fines. And he's like, sweet, I can keep doing it.
That's
I've got money.
I'll pay $750 and get me dick out again.
In January...
Gee, look at the lines.
Yeah, you're fucking angry.
Fuck. Maybe you should have left my microphone off. Look at this.
I told you this case is going to make you angry.
Definitely not flatlining anymore.
In January 1991, Lorraine and Robert spent the weekend at their holiday unit in Rosebud. The couple had gone down for a drive down the back roads.
We used to go down to Rosebud. when we were kids. He might have put his pecker out near us. No, it was...
This was the late 80s.
No, this would have been earlier. This would have been 70s.
Oh.
Dad used to drive down, set us all up down there and then come back for work and leave Mum with Auntie Mari and her 3 kids and Mum with her 3 kids and we'd be down there.
Cute. Well...
Actually, Auntie Mari had 4 kids. Sorry.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Okay.
The couple had gone for a drive down the back roads of Red Hill and for fun, as adults, decided they were going to see who could collect the most pine cones. That's just a fun thing to do in your late 30s. To go
for fuck's sake.
With your husband and collect pine cones after you found out that he's a pedophile. In March 1991, there was what was described as a funny old codger. That's so Australian. Funny old codger.
Funny old codger.
Hanging around the outside of the fence of the Croydon swimming pools. He was wearing a green baseball cap and had his hands in his pocket, obviously masturbating.
Obviously.
The man told a group of boys walking by.
Didn't I say that to the boys when they were trying on their jackets the other day, the wind cheaters?
So they look like a pedophile?
No. They've got to check the pockets of the right length so that they can adjust.
They can scratch or so. Yeah, well, that's what Robert needed, a really long jumper.
Obviously.
The man told a group of boys walking by, I'm waiting to meet some girls. They're coming on the bus. I'm going to have sex with them. I'm going to lick them.
Who said this?
Robert said this to a bunch of young boys.
Wow.
I'm cool. I'm hip.
I'm going
to lick them.
I'm going to lick them like an icicle.
They mentioned that the man...
creepy as fuck.
Yeah. I think it was like a swimming carnival.
Okay.
Because they mentioned it to some of their teachers and a couple of them went outside to investigate just in time to see Robert Lowe jumping into his little blue Toyota Corolla and they took down his rego.
Good on him.
The police were informed and when Robert was questioned about the incident, he just said that he was in the area. He was just resting his car.
Oh, yeah.
His car got tired.
My car gets a rest every now and then. It's called parking at home in the garage.
He should have been arrested. His car didn't need to rest. But he was always I was just in the area. I'm a fucking salesman. It's amazing
how many areas he was just in, isn't it?
Yeah, with his hand down his pants.
Yeah.
So now, also in the 1990s, I'll jump to the next people in this story. So we have Kerry Greenhill. And life was a little bit hard for Kerry at the start. Well, it was hard for her. She had little contact with her own parents.
Hang on. Have we finished talking about Wanky Doodle?
For now, we're putting Robert into a box.
Wanky Doodle Robert.
We're
putting Robert into a box.
He should have been in a fucking box.
Okay.
His dick should have been put in a box and then knocked off.
That from it should have been cut off.
Yeah, that was...
That's not the sound of cut.
That was a whip. Slice. I'm not good at sound effects. We need a sound effect board. I'll make my own applause work. Anyway, so Kerry. She had little contact with her parents, had broken and tumultuous relationships. She was in and out of jobs and was living in pretty much poverty with her 3 children. Her 4th child, Shane, sadly died in May 1990 from cot death. And only a month later, his father, Shane Sr., died from a drug overdose.
Oh, shit.
By this point, Kerry had learnt how to roll with the punches of life. When Kerry was born, her teenage parents found it hard and she was adopted by her parental grandparents. Kerry had grown up in Preston and then in the early 80s had moved down to Rosebud. At 17, Kerry had fallen in love with a man named Anthony Mandill, and within a couple months of their meeting, in 1984 she was pregnant, and the couple had a backyard wedding at her uncle's home, and then they moved into their own home in Mulgrave.
Okay.
On the 25th of February 1985, Kerry gave birth to her first child, Sheree Joy Mandel. Sheree was described as perfect. She never had colic. She slept from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. and was a bundle of joy.
Oh, good on her.
I imagine, well, I don't think Jay, I'm not sure if Jay had colic when he was a baby. I'll ask his mum. I don't think Logan had colic, but the fucking sleeping. Imagine a kid that was just like, look, I'll sleep through the night. Kerry was so proud of her new little baby that she entered her in every baby contest she could. What? Was I in a baby contest?
Yeah.
Did I win?
You got something with the eye for your eyes.
Oh. By the time Sheree was 4 weeks old, she had won 3 trophies and 7 ribbons. Sheree was a little water baby. She loved the beach or a bath or just being in a plastic tub full of water. By the time Sheree was 2, they described...
She was born in February, so she's Aquarius. Oh, no, she was born the end of
Look
February.
at you.
Oh, well, fucking...
Well, you're an Aquarius.
Yeah, duh. Didn't take much to work that one out. Nah, she'd be Pisces.
I'm impressed. I think Pisces is still water-based.
Because, yeah, but end of January, mid-February's Aquarius.
She's a Pisces.
Oh, fucking just told you that.
And they're fish. Like, that's the symbol, fish.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Aquarius is water, though.
Anyway.
Water bearer.
I'm a bull.
You're a bullhead.
So.
Bull dust.
Bullshit. By the time Sheree was 2, they described her as Action Girl. She was a fidget and she rode around on her 3-wheeled bike and rushed into everything.
Oh, okay.
On the 30th of May 1987, the couple had their second child, Crystal, but sadly not long after that, the couple split.
Oh.
By 3 years old, Sheree was the star of the show. She would dance in the lounge room for her family. She would sing songs and knew all the words to You're So Vain by Carly Simon.
Yeah, everybody knows the words to You're So Vain.
At 3.
Come on. Everybody knows the words to You're So Vain.
And American Pie by Don McLean.
American Pie.
Imagine a little 3-year-old busting out American Pie.
And
do you know the
Living Next Door to Alice? Everybody knows the words.
She mainly knew those two. They were the two that kept popping
Alice? Who the fuck is Alice?
Carrie had even bought her a little plastic microphone and she took it with her everywhere. By the time she was 4, Sheree was riding a 2-wheel bike with no training wheels.
Megan's only 30 and she can't ride a 2-wheel bike with no training wheels.
This is not about me. This is not about me.
Oh, we've hit a nerve.
By this time...
Don't tell stories about bikes. Megan gets very upset. Sorry, Megan.
The only way I will
learn...
learn...
about the bike with the training wheels.
Look, the only way I'll learn how to ride a bike is if it's Roy Kent and Jamie Tart in Amsterdam teaching me.
Yeah, fair enough.
By this time, Carrie was seeing Sheree Beasley, and Carrie and her 2 daughters took on his last name. Shane was described as a troubled young man from Frankston, involved in the Frankston drug scene.
Oh.
He would regularly use Rohypnol.
Okay.
Rohypnol is an anti-anxiety medication used to treat severe insomnia and assist with anesthesia. And he would also use heroin.
Oh. This is the stepdad?
Yeah. During a period of time, Sheree and Crystal stayed with their grandparents as Shane was hospitalized for his drug problem and Kerry was going through her own medical problems.
What was going on with her?
I'm not sure. It just said medical problems, so she had to stay in hospital as well. After 8 months, Sheree was well enough again and collected her daughters. And in 1989, Kerry gave birth to her 3rd child, Jacinta. Sheree was like a little mum to Jacinta. Her mum said that Sheree was like 5 going on 45. In 1990, Sheree started prep at Frankston Monterey Primary School, and on her first day, the family's German Shepherd Chloe had followed her to the school and then waited outside.
Oh, that's a bit cute.
Sheree would make her own lunches and would ask Mum, how many more days do I have to go to school? She was always hanging out for the weekend. Most weekends, Anthony and his parents would have the girls. So Anthony was their dad, the first 2 girls' dad. So he'd take the first 2 girls, the older 2 girls. He would take them to the park, drive around the Dandenong Ranges, or go to the movies or see other family. Sheree's happiness was infectious. Infectious? My stupidity is infectious.
Don't put your teeth in, infectious.
Sheree's happiness was infectious. She loved Disney movies and she thought the movie E.T. was real.
Oh, she's
Carrie,
only 5.
I know, but like that's so cute.
But she doesn't know all the words to Living Next Door to Alice, so we'll give it to her.
American Pie. American Pie is a long fucking song.
It is a long song. God almighty.
Carrie was now pregnant, but she and Shane had split up. He'd tried to battle with his drug addiction, but he would always slip back into it. He would still come around and visit Jacinta, but he and Carrie would always end up in arguments, which led Carrie to getting a restraining order on him. In February 1990, Carrie gave birth to her first son, Shane Jr., but sadly 10 weeks later, Sheree went to check on her baby brother and told her mum that he was still sleeping. It was now 8 a.m. when usually he was awake at 6 for a bottle. She saw that baby Shane was not moving.
Shit. That would be horrible.
A few weeks later, while spending time at her grandmother's, Sheree saw a rainbow in the sky and said, "My baby brother's up there."
Oh.
By mid-1990, Sheree had made her gang of friends at school. She would come home, dump her bag, say hi to her mum and her sisters, and then head out on her bike. In early January 1991, Kerry, the girls, and her new partner, Steve, had moved from Frankston to Rosebud. They thought this would be a nice fresh start for them. Sheree started attending Rosebud Primary School, and loyal as ever, Chloe would still follow her to school every day. On a few occasions, the school had to call home to get someone to get Chloe, as she was just sitting outside the classroom.
Oh, she wasn't hurting anyone. She wasn't going to bite anyone. She was just waiting.
But how distracting would a puppy next to a school classroom be?
I know.
Sheree was also a child that was not a pain in the ass at bedtime. She wanted to go to sleep.
Was that your words? Because I'm guessing
that was my words.
Yeah, I was going to say, that wasn't downloaded from some book or news report or whatever. She wasn't a pain in the ass of a child.
Wanted to go to sleep because then the next day would come faster. Every night, Sheree would kneel by her bed and say her prayers. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. God bless Mummy and Daddy and Crystal and Jacinta.
I think we all were told that prayer.
It sounded familiar to me as well. I'm more of an Our Father. I don't pray, but that's the one I know. That Christmas, Sheree had gotten a new pink Roadmaster bike from Santa.
Ooh.
Yeah, fucking
fancy.
Her latest obsession was dressing up as a fairy and flying around the backyard.
Aww.
Sheree loved to dance. Sheree knew one day that she would be a world-famous dancer, and she told her mum that when she was famous, she would buy her a new Honda Accord.
Oh, shoot big, kid, shoot big.
Yeah. Sadly, Sheree's fate did end up with her becoming a well-known name. In April 1991, Rosebud Primary School went through the good old stranger danger talk with everyone. One night after school, a young man seemed to be following Sheree home. When he called out to her, "Come here," she bolted home. That night, her mother told her, "I would never let anything happen to you. I would die before that would happen."
Oh, God.
Around this same time in Melbourne, Mr. Cruel was active. In 1988, he had abducted 10-year-old Sharon Wills. In 1990, he had abducted Nicola Linnaeus, and he had murdered 13-year-old Carmen Chan on the 13th of April 1991. And also Kylie Mayberry had been murdered in November 1984. All kind of because Kylie was Preston, Mr. Cruel was kind of Templestowe, Eltham.
Oh, okay.
And then this was, and then also you had Paul Denyer during this time as well in Frankston. Like, a lot going on in the late 80s and 90s in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Lowe would constantly talk about cases such as these, including the abduction of Eloise Werledge, who went missing in 1968. He would often ask Lorraine if she had any theories on how Eloise had been taken from her room. Robert also talked about Carmen Chan literally every day. Wow. He kept newspaper clippings about the case and hid them in his car. He also kept other articles about missing children in his religious books.
Oh, God.
In late June 1991, a man was noticed loitering around the dance school and asking children to get in his car. Parents were told to be careful, and many were concerned for Sheree, as she usually came by herself on her bike.
Many of the other parents were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On the 22nd of June 1991, Robert went to go pick up a new fridge for the family's holiday house in Rosebud. As he drove back home, he noticed a young girl near the Lighthouse Milk Bar riding on her pink bike. 2 days later, with his son Benji in the car, he went back and sat in his car near the milk bar like a predatory animal.
With his son in the car?
Yeah. Father of the year. As the same little girl rode around on a pink bike, he was concentrating on her. Sheree would regularly ride down to the milk bar by herself, singing and talking to herself along the way. Robert watched as she rode by and then slowly started following her home. He now knew where she lived and the route she took.
God.
At 7 a.m. on Saturday, the 29th of June 1991, Robert woke up and told Lorraine that he was going to the holiday house in Rosebud to fix a loose tile.
Loose tile?
But first, he had to go to a prayer meeting. Praise Jeebus. At 7:45 a.m., he was praying at a fellow church person's home while Sheree had just woken up at her own house. At around 8 a.m., Sheree asked her mum if she could go for a ride to the Lighthouse Milk Bar. Kerry told her no, and then the family had some breakfast. Finally, after persistent asking, Kerry let Sheree go down to the milk bar where she grabbed a loaf of bread and a bag of lollies for herself. Around 11 a.m, Robert left his prayer meeting and headed to Rosebud. After lunch, Sheree went for another bike ride, but not as far as the milk bar this time. She had insistently asked again if she could go down to the milk bar for more lollies. Kerry told her that she could go, but she had to run a couple of errands. She gave Sheree a note for a lady at the clothes shop down there. She gave her a list of things she needed from the milk bar and an envelope with $20 in it. She told her 6-year-old daughter that there should be $1 left over and she could get lollies for herself with that. So Sheree went off. She went to the clothes shop and gave the owner, Sandra, the note, and then went back home because she had forgotten the envelope and the list for the milk bar.
God. Typical fucking 6-year-old. Can't trust him to do a job.
That'd be me now.
Yeah, I know. Let alone 6. Bloody hell.
At 1:50 p.m, Sheree left home on her pink bike with her shopping list. This is what the shopping list of the 90s in sending the kid off to the milk bar.
Pack of Marlboro Red.
A pasty.
Pasty.
A sausage roll.
Sausage roll.
Corn chips.
It's a long way to the top if you want a sausage roll.
Bottle of Coke.
Yep.
And a packet of cigarettes.
Told you. Need to be ciggies in there.
Yep.
And they're allowed to sell them to a fucking 6-year-old.
Yep. Just after 2 p.m, Gay and James Henley and their 3 children were driving along the Nepean Highway. They noticed a car on the other side of the road driving towards them. In the passenger seat was a little girl wearing a bicycle helmet, sitting in the front seat, visibly upset. Gay looked at the driver and he seemed angry. The man in general gave her an uncomfortable feeling. Just further down the road, another lady, Janine Kent, saw a pink child's bike laying in the middle of the road with the front wheel still spinning.
Okay, well, that's sus.
She was annoyed as she thought a child had just left it and then run off to a park or something.
Karen, just pick the fucking bike up and move it off the road.
That's what she did.
Yeah, on your Kaz.
Kerry had set the table for lunch when they got a knock on the door. It was a local woman who had spotted Sheree's bike leaning up against a tree, but she was nowhere in sight. As soon as the word left this lady's mouth, Steve was running out the door, frantically searching for Sheree. He stopped people walking, asking if they had seen a little girl with a pink bike helmet, but no one had. From one of the nearby phone booths, Steve called 000. Only a year before, when Kerry lost her son, she spent ages scrubbing dishes. After Steve got back to the house, he found Kerry in the kitchen furiously scrubbing the plates and bowls.
Oh, God, okay.
When the police arrived at their home, Steve drove around with officers while Kerry walked the route Sheree would have taken to the milk bar. And Kerry later said that she half expected to find her daughter's body on the road. When she reached the bike, she broke down and sat there crying for over half an hour. Detective Inspector Laurie Ratz from the Frankston Division got the call that there was a missing persons case of a 6-year-old girl. It was Laurie's day off, and he had promised his wife a night out. When he told his wife about the missing persons call, she cancelled their night out and told him to go and help. She said, if that was our daughter, I'd want you to be down there.
Definitely.
Margaret Hobbs was listening to the 5 o'clock news on her radio when she heard that there was a missing 6-year-old believed to be abducted in Rosebud. Her stomach dropped and she had a feeling that it had been Robert. At the area where Sheree's bike had been found, the police had set up floodlights. The search and rescue squad was there and extra officers were on their way. Police started door knocking at every house, every car was stopped and a roadblock was set up. There were police and volunteer helicopters hovering overhead, mounted police,
Mounted police too.
Mounted police, police on trail bikes and police dogs.
Wow.
Chloe would have been out there looking for her.
What?
Chloe would have been out there looking for her.
Would have gone straight to her.
They had searched Sheree's home, friends and relatives' homes, the school, the beach, the shops, the parks, bushland, public toilets, boat sheds and caravan parks. They even checked all the local doctors in case she'd been knocked off her bike. They even checked all the drains in the area in case she may have fallen down. Locals at the pub didn't know Sheree by name, but they knew her by face, and they recalled seeing her around 2 p.m. that day.
Hang on, why did the people at the pub know her? She was a heavy drinker at 6s.
No, but I don't know where the pub was, but if she was kind of always riding, they'd be like, there's that little one.
Yeah, okay. I was like, that was very odd.
Look, the locals at the pub would have known me at fucking 8.
Yeah.
Detective Ratz was headed home around 2 a.m. as there wasn't more that they could do that night. On his drive, he was recapping the afternoon and the evening and wondering if he had done and organised everything he possibly could have done. Robert Lowe arrived home just before dinner. Lorraine heard him turning the washing machine on, which struck her as very strange, as Robert hadn't done any of his own washing in their 19 years of marriage.
I was just going to say, I bet he's never used the fucking thing before.
The next morning, while on their way to church, Robert Lowe and his family heard the news about the missing 6-year-old girl and from right near their holiday home. After the Lowes had got to church, Robert started fully cleaning his car.
Okay.
During the second day of the search, they started compiling a list of all known sex offenders and child abductors. During this second day of searching, there were 75 police, state emergency services, the Southern Peninsula Rescue Squad, and the Country Fire Authority, or the CFA.
Mm-hmm.
They had the water police checking Port Phillip Bay from Rosebud through to Portsea and towards Melbourne.
Wow.
Dane Malone, who had been the head of the rape squad, joined the investigation into finding Sheree. Dane had spent 9 months in 1988 investigating rape investigation methodology, studied the FBI's profiling system, and had become very familiar with DNA profiling.
Profiling?
Profiling. And in 1991, DNA was just becoming common in investigations.
In the profiling.
The search continued for 3 more days. The police had even searched Sheree's biological father's house.
Oh, okay.
Well, cover all your bases. During the following weeks, there were traffic jams near every school in the neighbourhood as no parent wanted their child to walk or bike to school alone.
God.
Some children were becoming distressed by the helicopter sounds as they thought that meant the police were chasing the bad man near their homes.
Oh, no.
On the 1st of July 1991, Robert Lowe set off for a business trip to Mildura.
Oh.
Lorraine and the 2 boys left later, catching the train up. During their whole trip away, Robert didn't mention the missing 6-year-old girl at all.
Well, why would he? Unless he wanted to implicate himself.
But every time the Azaria Chamberlain, Carmen Chan, Kylie Maybury, he obsessively talked about all these cases.
Okay, that's why that's an important
point,
but
suddenly he didn't bring it up at all.
Right.
Finally, the police got some sort of lead. A boy at Sheree's school had briefly seen Sheree the day she disappeared. He said that a man had picked Sheree up off her bike and put her into his small blue car. More tips had come in about seeing a little girl crying while being driven in a blue Toyota. All over Melbourne, blue Toyotas were being stopped. And
imagine that. Stop play. Why? What'd I do? Nothing.
You just got a blue car.
You just got a blue car. Nan's car.
Oh.
God, I'd be in trouble.
The owners asked about their movements on the day Sheree disappeared, but all their alibis checked out. The police broadened their suspect pool to anyone who lived on the Mornington Peninsula or in Melbourne's southern suburbs in the past 20 years who'd been charged of any sex offence.
20 years.
They were like, we're finding this motherfucker.
Yeah. I didn't say anything then.
I think you said yeah.
Yeah, that's all I came out with. A whole lot of spitting and spitting. You can cut all that out. Look at it.
No, the people can know how stupid you are.
Yeah.
They interrogated hundreds of suspects. During this investigation, detectives discovered other sex offenders. They discovered 2 men who worked together had called in sick on a few of the same days. They checked out one of the men's homes and found a 2-way mirror between 2 bedrooms. The second bedroom, they found a video camera hidden in a wardrobe. Camera was pointing through a hole cut in the back of the wardrobe. The men had been luring boys to their home and making child sexual abuse videos. Both men were tried for child sexual offences and jailed. So they caught this
because they were looking for the little girl. Okay.
I think it's quite common that they find other things.
Yeah. There's some sick fucking pricks out there, that's for sure.
Oh, this one's, yeah. One man, they went and knocked on their door, let them in. He probably would have been in his 60s. The detective was showing him photos of Sheree, the outfit she was wearing, her bike, to have you seen these? He then saw that the man was nodding and had a smile on his face, and he had his hand inside his pants.
See? Told ya. Give me another look. I'll have a little wank.
Yeah.
You dirty old prick.
Andrew Guskey, who was from the East Bentley CIB, who had joined the investigation, was going through information reports and one caught his eye. It was a report about a man who had been approaching children at the Croydon swimming pool, who had a blue hatchback.
Oh, yeah.
And the rego was DLT771.
DLT771.
Dick licking turd.
Tosser.
Oh,
okay.
He couldn't figure out the connection between Rosebud and Croydon except the blue hatchback. He searched the rego and it came up to be registered to a lady named Maria George who lived in Melbourne. When he spoke with Maria about the car, she told him that the car was driven by one of her employees. She told the officer, "My sales rep would not be involved in anything of this nature.
Oh, don't be stupid,
because
Marie.
he is a married man with 2 children and he is a good family man."
No, he's not, Marie. You're a fool.
You're a fool, Maria.
Yeah, wake up to yourself.
What is it you can't face?
Yeah, Maria. What is it you can't face? Reality, clearly.
She finally gave the detectives his name, Robert Lowe.
Oh, Lola.
But she refused to give out his phone number or address and told the detectives that she would let Robert know and he would give them a call.
Marie. They should have arrested her for obstruction of law.
Justice.
Whatever. I knew she was in everybody's way. Get out of the way, Maria.
That same day, Robert had visited Margaret Hobbs' office. He seemed angry and agitated and paced up and down in her office and then in the building for hours. Once he left, she still had a gut feeling that he was connected to the disappearance of Sheree. She walked outside.
Hold on, she had the gut feeling, but she didn't give his details to the cops.
No, this is Margaret, the
Who's
psychologist.
Margaret? Oh, okay.
She had the gut feeling.
I thought she was still talking to. He went and saw his boss.
No, he went and told the psychologist.
Sorry, Marie. Sorry,
Margaret. She walked out just in time to see his little blue Toyota Corolla hatchback drive past with Robert behind the wheel. She turned, walked back in the building feeling ill. So he lives in Rosebud. He is a pedophile. He flashes little girls and he's got the blue hatchback. And Margaret's like, oh my God, it's fucking him.
So did Margaret do something about this?
On the 30th of July 1991, at around 9:40 a.m, Detective Andrew got a call from Robert Lowe.
Oh.
He asked him to confirm the rego of his car and if anyone else drives it. He confirmed the rego that they had was correct and that no one else drives his car. Robert asked him what all this was about.
Yeah, it was about you and your penis.
Yes. Andrew explained that he is investigating all blue hatchback cars in relation to the disappearance of Sheree Beasley from Rosebud. He asked him what his date of birth was, January 29th, 1937. Now Andrew could do a history check. He asked Robert if he had ever been in trouble with the police, and he replied, no.
Oh, you idiot.
He asked Robert what he was doing on the 29th of June, and he said he was at home with his wife and kids.
Oh, of course he was.
Andrew then asked Robert if he had any connection with the Mornington Peninsula or the Rosebud area, and he said no.
What a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to take much for the cops to put that whole story together.
Andrew asked, does he ever come down this way at all? And Robert
replied,
no. He finished up the conversation after Robert refused to give out his phone number, and Andrew knew in his gut that this guy was lying.
Oh, you think?
The hair stood up on the back of Andrew's neck when he checked out Robert Lowe's criminal history.
But he didn't have any criminal history.
He had no connection to the police.
He
had no connection to Rosebud. Yeah. You own a fucking unit in Rosebud.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really hide that one from the record books.
He went to the sergeant's office, and when he mentioned Robert's name, he handed him a transcript from an anonymous Crime Stoppers recorded message, which said, I know a guy through therapeutic dealings who has a history of sexual...
Margaret, you could have just rang him directly.
Sexual offences. Well, I think if, if, say, a doctor gave out your information, or she did, as a therapist, gave out your information, and it was, it turned out not to be Robert, Robert could sue her.
But it was Robert.
It was Robert. He had been charged for indecent exposure and also for chatting up young kids. He has a holiday house in Rosebud and owns a blue hatchback. He has only just rented from Sydney, where he was on business as a salesman. He is a commercial traveller. He is married with 2 kids and lives in a house in Manningring Drive, Glen Waverley. His name is Robert Lowe. He is in his 50s, about 5'10", with darkish hair. He often wears a hat. Not sure why the hat part was important, Margaret.
Obviously, it was whoever was reported wearing a hat at the time.
Well, the Croydon knew he had a hat on. The next day, they put their now number 1 suspect under surveillance, and he was shortly arrested at the Yarraville bus terminal after he was seen looking at a group of girls and rubbing himself.
Of course he was. Dirty little prick. You've been doing that for fucking 30 years.
Yeah. He was charged with willful and obscene exposure and offensive behaviour, released on bail, and then went home for dinner.
Oh my God.
I told you, it's angry. The police tried desperately to link Robert to being in Rosebud on the 29th of June. They checked CCTV. They gained access to his bank records. They went around local football and sports clubs to see if he attended a game, but there was nothing. They obtained a search warrant for the holiday house, and while he was on a business trip in Sydney, they searched his car while it was parked at the Tullamarine Airport parking, but again, nothing. They did get granted access to tap the Lowe's house phone and place several listening devices in the house. They did learn.
It's amazing they got authority to do that because they haven't proved he was anywhere near her at this point.
Yeah.
So I wonder what their argument was to go, we think it's this guy, but let us tape his house, see if he talks in his sleep.
Oh, imagine that.
No, come here, kid.
They did learn from his criminal records that he was referred to Dr. Hobbs, and on the 8th of August, they went to visit her. The officers could tell that she wanted to help, but she went on about ethics and confidentiality. But eventually, she gave him information.
And eventually, she left the office and went, I'm just going to leave this folder here. If you happen to read it while I'm out of the office, I've got no control over that.
Whoopsie-daisy.
Yeah, my bad. Should have put it away.
She told them that he was an opportunistic offender who would masturbate or expose himself 4 or 5 times in a day.
Oh, God.
He was taking many risks, and she seemed to think he was reaching the stage where he couldn't control himself. On the 9th of August 1991 at 12:15 p.m, the police arrived at Robert's home. His house was actually a street away from the Victorian Police Training Academy. Dale Johnson and Matthew Wood knocked on the front door, and Lorraine let them in. They asked her if she recalled where the family, most importantly, where Robert was on the 29th of June. She told them that she was sure they were all at home. She let them know that Robert was away for a business trip and that he would be home in a couple of days. Lorraine had called Robert after the police had left, and he confirmed that yes, he was definitely home with them all that weekend.
Of course he was.
Lorraine couldn't 100% remember, but she wasn't sure that Robert was home with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we'll leave it for part 1.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun.
And then we have part 2 next week for you guys of how this asshole was caught. You can follow us on Instagram at mainly_murder. You can email us at mainlymurderpodcast@gmail.com. You can join our Patreon where you get all these episodes a day early. You also get extra episodes. Mum's busting to say something.
Busting for a piss.
Busting for a piss. Goodbye.